What's going on, everyone? It's Mike back again, and I'm here with my friend Rich. You would have seen us. You would have seen us before. We've done multiple match previews. We've done multiple shows together, and Rich is someone that I heavily trust when it comes to Crystal Palace. Rich, do you want to let everyone know where they'll find your channel? Because that's probably going to help first of all.
Yeah, no problem. Well, thanks first of all for trusting me and obviously giving you this news. It's a roller. We'll get into it. It's a roller coaster of emotions regarding John Textor, but you can find me on Eagle Eyed Football on YouTube and all platforms. Just type it up, you should
Yeah,
come up.
yeah, so make sure you go and search Eagle Eyed Football, guys. It's great content. It's just real content, proper fans just talking about their football club. You know, a club that they love and adore. So, yeah, make sure you go and follow them, and make sure you go and subscribe and like the channel. Um, let's get straight into it then. So, yesterday, Everton fans were sort of retracted about this situation because it come out that John Textor had actually put in a bid to buy the rest of Crystal Palace, and it was almost like it was a case of going, um, well, we almost look like second fiddle to Palace. And look, there's no disrespect to Palace at all, but it almost made it look like we were the afterthought, and that's never going to get the fans on side when you're trying to buy a football team. He then releases a statement, which I thought was a fair statement to make, that he'd had previous discussions with Crystal Palace. He wanted to essentially be the majority in terms of decision making, because I think he's majority shareholder. You can correct me, Rich.
Yeah,
And he basically wanted the decisions. He basically wanted the power of being him owning this multi club model, and essentially Crystal Palace being the UK, the London arm of that. And it fell short. The bid, for whatever reason, was ignored or denied or not accepted. And it comes out that he's basically gone, look, I just want a club in England. It's not
yeah,
necessarily a case of I've fallen in love with anyone. It's just a case of I want a club in England. I want to put my all into it. And it's actually made me respect him a little bit more, because I use the analogy, you wouldn't build half a house and then start building a new house unless you really had to. And by the sounds of it, he has kind of built half a house at Palace. So you can probably explain the situation better from your side. But John
yeah.
Textor, just give it me in a nutshell, mate.
So when he initially came into the club, he then became majority shareholder, bought a massive stake in the club. We had then four owners: Parish, Harris, Blitzer, and Textor. Now, for us as a fan base, we were excited about it, due to the fact that we're thinking, all right, someone's going to come in and invest. Um, because with Harris and Blitzer, we didn't see it. They've got like, I don't know how many teams in America, including like, I don't know, they're not called the Redskins anymore, but like one of the NFL teams, Washington. I thought they've changed the name, obviously, because of the Redskins thing. I think one of them had an NFL side, huge side, so they've got loads of revenue, Harrison Blitzer, but we've never seen it being put into Palace. And you'd think London side, yes, we're not massive, but we've got a nice old fashioned ground. We're in the heart of London, diverse community. Why not think anyone really investing in this? This could be, it could be a massive club. Like Chelsea haven't built their stadium, but the way that Chelsea built up, we could have had that same effect. So Texas come in and he has this idea, a multi-club model. So he's got Palace. He's then got Botafogo in Brazil. He then gets Leon, and I'm thinking to myself, this is smart. This is good. And then the
Yeah.
last one was Molenbeek
Okay.
in Belgium. But Leon was the one that was like, ooh. Because now I'm thinking, what players do Leon have? Or what players do we have that we could send there on loan?
Yeah.
And that was really what the model was.
Yeah.
Take out our academy players, take them out on loan there, get some young talents from Brazil or Leon, build them up in the Premier League, sell them off, make profit. And it's kind of like an ongoing cycle. Unfortunately, the big hurdle for him was Steve Parish, who had his own vision. His vision is build the academy, do the new stand, which obviously is going to go into fruition. So we had this first season. I think his Texas first season was with Vieira, and it was a successful season, I would say. And we're thinking, this is looking good. This is really, really working. And fair play to John Textor. He even came and spoke to us after the FA Cup win against you guys at Sellers Park. He came and spoke to us, and we were just like, this is amazing. Like, we were just like, thank you. There seems to be like renewed hope. It seems like there is money being pumped in because we got Odson Edouard that season, Michael Elise, Mark Gay, that was the season we got all of them. So we're thinking, this is great, We go into the second season thinking, right, time to kick on, push on. We had the worst summer and winter windows ever. And we were thinking to myself, why is this guy not investing no more? Does he care more about Leon? Does he care more about Portofilgo? Because obviously Leon, they're starting to get players in, and we're thinking, there's a Gift Oban that's just gone there. We could have taken him. Or I think it was an Adelson from Botafogo. We could have, there were players it seemed like everyone was benefiting but Palace. So I think that everything then kind of turned. Like, a lot of hate went Textor's way. Till he then releases an interview, which was saying, I pretty much built this model to help all the teams, but I've not got any say. And he called out Steve Parish in it, said, what can I do? Like, I'm the majority stakeholder with no say, which in a business sense doesn't make any sense, So I think that was the first time where it kind of then built up to like, everyone was turning on Parish now,
Right.
And then you saw the banners, because obviously Roy Hodgson got brought back, and we're thinking this is a backward step. And so it's been a mess behind the scenes. I think the one thing that I may say that hasn't helped Textor in this is that he's very vocal.
Right.
And he will throw people under the bus to make himself look good.
Okay.
Granted, I don't think what he's done is bad. I just don't think I think the fans would have turned around to it. I don't think he would have had to go the extra mile to say, this is what's happening to me. This is what people are doing to me. This, that, other. Because like I said, it's clear as day that he has no say, but we're still not doing any business in the market.
Yeah. I find the situation a little bit comparable to what we had with Mashiri and Usmanov and Arsenal. So, Mashiri and Usmanov were very, very much involved in Arsenal, but Stan Kroenke fundamentally held all the cards. Usmanov said, fine, I'll buy the club. They said no. So he then looks for another club, and Everton were that club, and we were hoping that we were going to be that club that then, went on and progress and probably do the whole Aston Villa model essentially, and we actually ended up being the more like Leeds United in the mid 2000s model and almost get relegated. I find this situation mad with Textor, to be honest, because everything I've read about him in terms of a football philosophy seems to suggest that he would be a good fit at Everton in terms of he wants the team to do well. He's not necessarily scared to invest. He wants the team to, utilise the model that he's creating. He likes to see youth players come through. All of these positive things as a chairman, as a vocal chairman. Yeah, I think that none of that is a negative to me. So the only thing I would then also say is, what does that mean going forward? And then when you look at the situation where he's got to sell his shares, I think he bought his shares for like something like 85 million or something, and they're now valued at almost double that. It speaks volumes of the management of Crystal Palace, and you as a fan base, you should be really, really happy that your club has in a fairly short period of time, probably 2 or 3 years, has expanded to that sort of value. That's phenomenal. It's great. Everton are in a mess financially. We've got all these debts. We've got all this essentially, we've got creditors here, there, and everywhere. The thing that I'm concerned with Textor is just how much money he's got, because fundamentally, we almost need someone to come in and go, right, there's £1 billion, pay off all your debts, finish sorting out your stadium, and off we go again. Once the
Yeah.
club's worth £1 billion, I can take my money back out. Some form of thing like that.
Yeah.
I'm not getting the impression that this guy is liquid rich in that sense, and that's the bit
Yeah.
that worries me.
And that was the con that I was going to mention. There's still some
Yeah,
other pros I'm going to give you.
yeah,
But he at one stage wanted to put Palace on the stock market. Now we all know, we all know that could get you millions and billions of pounds, or liquidate you in a heartbeat. So that was the first thing. That was the first red flag. I was like, wait, so you don't have money? What's going on here, sort of thing. Then he joined this Rain group, so he's kind of effectively got investors that are invested in him, who's invested in the
yeah,
clubs, which means that whenever he does generate anything, he's going to have to give it back to the investors anyway. So the big question is, how much does he actually have? Is the biggest question mark. Like, even us as Palace fans, we don't know how much he actually has. However, if he was to sell off his shares, he is the type of person right now, he's actually looking for a profit. And I think he can get, like I said, we're a decent club. The fact that
yeah.
we're a London-based club, someone should invest in it. And you look at our last 3 seasons, granted, we've had some terrible times, but we're looking more like a side that can push into potentially nicking a European spot. I'm not saying definitely getting one, but the trajectory is looking more upwards than before. We're just like, we're going to finish 12th or 14th. That was like guaranteed. Now we've had 2 10th place finishes, or a 10th and 11th place finish in the last 3 years. So the trajectory, sorry, is on the up. Trajectory, not projection. What take on? The trajectory is on the up.
Yeah.
And as I said, as a fan base, with all these things happening behind the scenes, with the players that are on their way out, not hearing much about incomings, it's like every time we get something nice, we don't then kick on. We just that's the problem with our club. I'm gonna go back to some pros. So obviously, like
please.
I said, I don't know where his money's coming from. None of us know, unfortunately.
Okay.
But one thing I will say is, when he's in it, he's in it. Like, he's invested. He came to Palace saying, "Listen, I want this model for us," and he will go for it. So even though it weren't working with Palace, he made sure it was going to go with everyone else. So the fact, even though we may have got players from this model, we've sent out Malcolm Abiwe and Teo from our academy out to Molenbeek. So they've got like literally Belgium Division 1 experience. Jake O'Brien, unfortunately, who you have now, went to Lyon for £1 million because he said, "Listen, I'm not getting in on behind Gay and Anderson." And bear in mind, we only played 2 at the back then, not 3 now. He went to Lyon for £1 million, went to you for 27 or so.
17.
17, sorry.
Yeah.
So through Textor bought him for Lyon. He's made a 16 million profit. So in that sense, he will work, and if he can maybe, all right, cool, loan out a few players here from Everton. These ones are not working. How much could we get for that youth player there? The youth market, the academy market, seems to be thriving right now. Like Cole Palmer, before went to Chelsea, was an academy project, went for 30 plus million, nearly 40 million. So that's the angle he's going to go at. Another thing I think is a positive, he got Leon out of debt. Like, they were in problems. They were, when he first took over them last season, I think
They
were
were rock
18th.
bottom, weren't they? Were rock bottom with 5 points or something, wasn't they, after
there was
Christmas?
massive problems. He made a bold decision in sacking their coach. He sacked their coach. The fans weren't happy. I think they finished like 8th.
They qualified for Europe.
They have qualified for. This is what I mean. So look at that. You got Botafogo, who they had a major collapse, but it was partly not their fault. The coach that they had initially then went and got a bid from Saudi. He left, and they just didn't recover. And they went from being clear at the top of the Brazilian league to finishing 3rd in the end, like with like about 3 games to go. And Molenbeek got promotion. So their teams, the teams he's had, have done well on the pitch, and then you've got us who've obviously got a bit better. So
I think the one thing from an Everton fan's perspective that we would say about Palace, and look, I'm not meaning this to almost rub salt in the wound because I like Crystal Palace, you know that, and I've always got respect for your fans, you know that. Um, the one thing that has concerned me about Palace is potentially the fact that Textor's looking out. Steve Parish, whatever situation you've got with him, whether he's a good thing or a bad thing, I don't know. But then losing these two centre halves in Anderson and potentially Mark Gay, it smells of an issue, and I don't know what the issue is, and obviously you might be able to elaborate. But losing Michael Elise and those two in the same window is in my opinion, it's mad. Don't get me wrong, Eze is a phenomenal talent, and you've got other good players in that team.
Yeah.
Another useful player, I think, was it Jordan Ayew? I think he's leaving as well. I know he's just useful. I get that.
To be fair, with the Ayew one, I don't think many were mad. Like, it was sad because there's no better player to win you free kicks.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But at 32 years old, when we're hearing Leicester say 8 million, we were like, I don't think we could reduce.
Yeah, but are you? Would you rather Textor be involved in your club or not be involved in your club? Like, where does he sit in terms of the leadership?
The reason why I would want him involved is you can tell he wants to get business done. The reason why I wouldn't say that we would spend the right amount of money for players at times. However, Dougie Friedman is that middle person. So I think it would have worked. Because
he's incredibly talented. Yeah. He's incredibly talented.
Guess who was the one that got us Oliver Glasner?
Friedman. Textor.
John Textor wanted him at the end of last season before we gave Roy that deal at the beginning of the season.
Wow.
I'm just putting it out there. John Textor went out, had interviews with Oliver Glasner before the start of last season. Parish went for Roy. So obviously when Roy went, Glasner said, Textor said, Dougie, I'm taking you with me. I've got this guy. And look, the rest is history. So that's that. I can see he wants to progress the club, but his hands are tied behind his back. But I think it's tied behind his back, rightfully so, because we just don't know how far he'll push the boat and whether that will be a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah, I think it'll be interesting to see if he comes into Everton. The uproar, the comments from yesterday made. You know, I was sitting there thinking, I don't want to play second fiddle to anyone. But equally, you understand this guy isn't an Everton fan. He's not a Crystal Palace fan. Yeah. He's an investor fundamentally, and he wants to make money. He wants to be involved in a passion. I get all of that. And you saw that with Leon, because I think there's pictures of him celebrating the fact that, you know, they got into Europe and he's there on the pitch and he's talking about it. And I admire things like that. I admire people that care about what they're doing and fundamentally changing the future of that football team, because that team was destined to be in League Two or Liga 2 or whatever, however you pronounce it. You know, it was destined to be dusted, Leon. The powerhouse that they once was just,
it was gone.
And to think that he might, you know, under his leadership, how much credit he can take or not, but he changed the coach. He was the one that did that. And from an Everton perspective, you know, there'll be Everton fans here that will disagree with what I'm about to say. There'll be lots of fans that will agree with what I'm about to say. But we want to change. I want to change. I don't want to see the style of football that we are seeing. And every time I saw a Glasner team last season, I sat there and thought, wow. You know, what was it? The attacking football, the aggression, the pace. And I'm sitting there thinking, I'm watching Everton just tootle the ball along, get the ball into the centre half and ping it to Jack Harrison or Dwight McNeil, both of which really are bottom Premier League players. So I want change. I want someone who can fix this football team. And if that is John Textor, then great. It's just the money worries me. It's that bit. It's that sticking point. I truly hoped, you know, we'd been linked with Dan Friedkin, who had also signed off an exclusivity deal. He's the owner of Roma. He has liquid cash. He's worth £9 billion. He putting £1 billion into Everton in the short term to get the long term game with a new stadium on the horizon makes sense. I don't know if Textor can do that. I don't know how. Whether this Rain group are going to go, yeah, we're just going to give you the money. Yeah, that's fine. And then the rumours come out that he wanted to sort of leverage debt on the stadium to be able to buy the club, which is a similar model to what the Glazers did with Manchester United.
Yeah.
They're now something like £4 billion in debt, technically. And that's the bit that concerns me. It's just that bit.
Yeah.
I have no doubt that from the passion, from the leadership, everything that I've saw from Palace in recent years has made me go, yeah, it's made me look at Crystal Palace, if I'm being honest, in a different light, because Crystal Palace were one of those teams that you always thought they're just there. But a bit like Everton, they're just there. They'll finish somewhere, probably between 10th and 15th. But Crystal Palace will always be there. Then obviously you had the issue with Roy the first time, and people were, I'm going to sit here and say, I thought Palace were going to go down. I was convinced they were going to go down, and they didn't. They turned it around. And then Glasner's almost took them to the next level. Yeah. So we'll sit there and think all of those decisions, if they're mostly Textors, then the guy clearly knows what he's doing. And that's the bit that excites me. That's the bit I want. So
yeah. Another factor, let's just hypothetically say he gets you this weekend. There's a certain right winger who Leon don't want, by the way, in Ryan Shirky.
Yeah.
Now, he's rejected Fulham. I'm hoping we come in for him because we have got interest there. But this is what I'm talking about. It's a Textor club. Would he sell? Now it's getting a bit like, he might be like, you know what? Screw you guys. Next minute you hear Everton have joined the race. We don't know. We don't know. But this is the benefit of it. He's 21 years old. Yes, he's got an ego, but he's a talent.
Mate, we ain't got the money to do it right now. We haven't got the money to go and spend any money, I think, on players. But if players like Calvert-Lewin, potentially Branthwaite, maybe Michael Keane, Neil Maupay, Mason Holgate, any of those leave, then that'll get some funds. But how much was the money being quoted for him? It wasn't.
Right, Turkey. It wasn't a lot. It's like 15 million euros. With potential add-ons.
Yeah, so I don't know. Maybe a big loan fee and an obligation to buy. Maybe Everton could get away with that. But mate, I think I'm excited. I know it doesn't necessarily come across on video. I try to stay fairly monotone about these things, but I'm excited at the fact that change does appear to be happening at Everton, and we need it. What doesn't excite me is the fact that we've got Sean Dyche. The team looks awful. I mean, if you watch the game against Brighton, we looked the worst Premier League team.
Not watch their games.
No, I get that. But we looked the worst Premier League team in the Premier League. We looked horrendous, and I am concerned that we can't fix that. And that I don't know how we do it, by the way, but something needs to happen because we can't go through this season, one, playing football like we're playing, and two, performances that we're putting in. We're going to Spurs tomorrow. And honestly, my match preview, I said like 4-1, 4-0 to Spurs. There's no confidence in that team. And bearing in mind, pre-season weren't great. We started to come round at the end of it. We put in a really good performance against Roma last game of the season. My concerns are that we need to kick on. If we get someone in at the helm in January who can kick us on, and is that business owner, is that thinker, is that forward planning owner, then that almost infuses me, because at the minute, the passion, the fight, the desire, the drive for Everton to, go the games and celebrate and all of those, they've literally sapped the energy out of me, and we need someone to fix that. And if that is John Textor, then, mate, you can have the keys to Bramley Moore tomorrow.
Yeah. And I think one thing I will say, if you do have him and he moves you into this new stadium, like, he's made little changes to Sellers Park where you see we've got the LED board stuff. Sometimes we have light shows. It's kind of like making more entertainment purposes, which like Americans like. People like, do we like this? Do we not? But if it's going to draw another sense of revenue, as much as it may look a bit, look at this, it's a bit showy, but hey, look, now we've got these LED boards. We've got adverts up there. People are going to sponsor. You can see their things.
Yeah.
We're going to generate money. So we've got to look at the pluses.
So come on then, give us a couple of minutes then on Palace, because from an Everton perspective, we're looking at Palace, and at the start of the season, I would have said, yeah, Palace absolutely finish above Everton. And I'm not saying you don't, by the way, but losing your two centre halves must be a massive worry for Palace fans.
I mean, Anderson's definitely gone. Mark, we're hoping will sign a new deal and at least just have a release clause, and he'll go next summer. I think it'll be travesty if we lose both. I'm hoping it doesn't happen, but it's not looking great at the moment. I think Newcastle were dilly-dallying with about 5 million, but I think they will put that in. Liverpool are now starting to have a look as well. So yeah, if we manage to keep him, great. We know we'll lose him the next summer. Just pay the money. We'll have to deal with it. Maxence Lacroix has agreed terms with us. We're now just trying to wait on the fee. We also had put in a 30 million euro bid for Henrique Araujo from Benfica.
Yeah.
That's been rejected. But I think they're just trying to play hardball. So I think it's just a waiting game. But what I'm a bit concerned about is, all right, Anderson's gone. We should have already had our next target in, if that makes sense. You know, maybe that is Lacroix. Maybe that's him, because like I said, terms have been agreed. So once we say, listen, here you go, Wolfsburg, here's 15 or 17 million, however much you want, get him over quickly, do the medical, let's get it done. But there's other positions we need to fill, like another 10 and a cover left wing back. We don't have that, you know. So we've got about 3 or 4 spots to fill, and if Mark goes, it's 4.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see. The good fact is that we got Glasner, because if this was on the Roy, I'll be nervous as hell. You know, but Glasner, I think he'll make this work. Even though we lost to Brentford, we should have won that game. I think we'll be good.
Yeah, fine. A friend of mine works at Aston Villa, and he said that Crystal Palace has sniffed around Diego Carlos.
Interesting.
So I don't know how much rumours are in that, but I understand that he. I don't think he's going to get much game time at Villa. With Paul Torres and Mings and Konza and all the other players have got in those positions.
Fulham were looking for him before they went for Anderson.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if Diego Carlos maybe does Crystal Palace. Okay, right. Well, Rich, I think that does it.
I hope it's helped, by the way.
It's just so difficult, because the problem is the guy as a person ticks the box. It's just the financials that stress me out, and I just don't see how he's got the money. I really want someone with his passion to own Everton Football Club. I really do.
Yeah.
And the decisions he's clearly made at Palace have clearly been good ones, albeit they've been limited. I just worry that he's going to essentially, he's just going to bite off more than he can chew at Everton. You know, we're already owned by a billionaire, and yet we're still in a mess. So, I'm just a touch concerned. He's got all of these clubs that all have different demands. You know, Mashiri's got one club, one demand, and he's struggling with that. So how can Textor, who has got a similar wealth to Mashiri in terms of assets, I believe, in net worth, I just don't see how he can cope. And you can have Rain Group, you can have all these things behind the scenes. I just don't get how that's going to turn into owning Everton. I just don't know yet. So, Rich, thank you ever so much, guys. Make sure you go and subscribe to Eagle Eyed. Literally, as soon as you type in Eagle Eyed into YouTube, you'll find them. Just find them. Also, I tweeted including them earlier, so make sure you go and find my tweet and go and add them on socials as well. They're as you can see from Rich, they're a great team over there. We've had a laugh and a joke in the past, so make sure you go and support them. And Rich, thank you for coming on, bro.
No problem. Not a problem at all. Thanks for asking me to do this. Hope it answers your fan base and your subs questions, and all the best for the season.
Yeah, and you, mate. Look, as you know, I've got a bit of a soft spot for Palace, so I wish you well in all 38 games, apart from 2 of them, as you know.
Yeah. Well, it's about time we come to Goodison and win. Jeez.
Mate, let's hope it's not this season. I think we might need our wins, to be fair. But cool, guys. I'll see you soon, and peace.